is 5/18, Friday, September 29th. And this is DR43, Trust Your Instinct. I first want to say thank you for everyone who shared the video yesterday. My goal was to get to 1,000 views. I believe I had like 11 or 12 shares. Thank you very much for that. Got to 575. My face is nice and shiny. We were, a little bit over halfway there. I'm gonna keep pushing through. Fell a little bit short of that, but whatever. We're gonna keep going. So, thank you again for sharing that. I appreciate every single time you do it. And again, I'm reading the book Relentless: From Good to Great to Unstoppable, and the book comes from the perspective of a kind of a trainer slash psychologist slash all around helper of professional athletes guy, Tim Grover. And he talks a lot about instinct. And he starts out the chapter by mentioning, I've read this in another book, there's a book called Leaders Eat Last by Simon Sinek that also talks about our natural instinct. And Tim Grover talks about when babies are born. Babies are born with instinct. Babies know what they want. There's no thinking. They're hungry, they cry. They have to go to the bathroom, they go to the bathroom. They don't consider options. They don't consider what other people say. They just do it. He also talks about a lion. A lion out in the wild, a lion takes care of business. They don't analyze. They don't rationalize. They just act. And I believe this, and I'll tell you from my personal experiences, but to perform at your best, rely on your instinct. Trust your gut. Now, I'm going to go into that a little bit deeper. So he says, everything you need is already inside you. You are completely wired with instincts and reflexes specifically designed so you can survive and succeed. You don't have to think about using them. They're always working. So I'm going to relate that to two experiences in professional fighting. And I touch on this often because it's so stinking true. When I started fighting, I was a wrestler. I was just a wrestler, nothing more. So I learned to fight. But I never lost my instinct. I never forgot, okay, I am a wrestler who learned to fight. I never forgot that. And then after a while, I just got so overwhelmed with the stuff. Fans saying you're a boring fighter. The boss, Joe Silva, saying, you're boring. You need to be more exciting. I let that clutter, I let that stuff get into my mind. And it talks about when you're so schooled, when you're so when you do the opposite of relying on your gut, when you do the opposite of trusting your gut and your instinct and acting as you're supposed to act. If I throw something at you, you're going to put your hand up. You're not going to think about it. And the more that I experienced that outside pressure, the less I did that. So literally, when I was fighting Danny Castillo, it's the fight I got knocked out. I was fighting Danny Castillo. We were in the octagon. The first round, I was acting on instinct. I was doing well. I came out of that round. I was sitting on the stool, and I started thinking. I started letting that outside stuff. I started letting those Facebook and Twitter comments telling me I'm so boring. I started to let that get into my mind. And I remember literally, I looked up to my cornerman and I said, should I take him down or should I stand up? That's a terrible question. I'm a wrestler. Take him down. And now I'm able to look back at that and think, man, what a terrible thought that was. You weren't trusting your instinct. You weren't going with what you knew. So in speaking, for example, making these videos every day, these are live videos. They're not scripted. I have a book that has some notes. It's not properly placed. Every once in a while, I'll write down notes on a Post-it, but it's not scripted because the more I try to script things, the worse I am at it. In professional speaking, if I go up in front of an audience and I have a teleprompter, I've never been in that situation where I do have a teleprompter, but if I have a teleprompter and I'm just reading, it's like when you call someone, you get a customer service person or thank you, John. I appreciate it. It's like when you call somewhere and they have a script in front of them and you ask the same question and they just literally keep reading the same response. They're not going off of gut. They're not going off of instinct. They're not being real. They're not being authentic. So that's something, if something happens when you're strictly going off of that script, it throws you off. You don't know how to act. So add your instinct. Trust your gut as you go through each day. And I do want to say this, and this is a caveat, and maybe I'll kind of wrap it up here. So there is this idea of trusting your gut. And he reads, hopefully I can find it here, but he talks about this idea of trusting your gut and how important it is. while at the same time, you need to have something behind it. You need to have some substance behind that gut. So, for example, he mentions if you have a teenager gets behind the wheel of a super powerful car. They don't have experience. They don't have training. They don't have preparation. It's an accident waiting to happen. There's no infrastructure behind that gut and that instinct. Whereas you take someone like myself or another professional athlete or a business person who has years and years and years and maybe even decades of infrastructure behind that gut. And then those things that you learn, those things that you train years and years and years and decades, that then becomes your instinct. So I'm not just saying trust your gut, whatever, trust your gut. No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying bust your hump every single day. Every single day, bust your hump. And then you have this innate confidence, this instinct that will produce those results. I'll give you a perfect applicable example. I read every day, right? These books every single day. I find that in conversation, when I'm having a conversation outside, for example, Leaders Eat Last, Simon Sinek, I didn't script that. I didn't think of it. That's now my instinct. That's now my natural instinct. So the more that you learn, the more that you progress, the more that you process, these tools, whether it's physical tools and you're fighting, whether it's, you're a teacher and you need to cite historical information, the more you read, the more you learn, the more you practice, the more you experience, the more polished your instinct is going to become. Whew, I love this stuff. I appreciate you guys listening. Again, I appreciate every share, every comment, every piece of feedback. I love doing this. I'm extremely grateful for the opportunity. I'm grateful for you guys stopping by. I will be back tomorrow with DR44. My best friend is getting married this weekend, so it's going to be a crazy weekend. But I will be here tomorrow, Saturday, and I will be here Sunday. So if you haven't already, please hop on over to charlie-brenneman.com. Visit us, social media, and if you want to dive deeper into these concepts, my co-host Dred and I put out a Fighter's Mindset, the Spaniard podcast, twice a week, where we'll help you apply a fighter's mindset. Don't stop, don't stop, don't stop. Get up, keep going, keep going. Like Rocky said, it's not how many times you get, what's he say? Not how many times you get knocked down, it's about getting back up. So, get knocked down today, get right back up. Talk to you guys tomorrow.